I recently moved into a new apartment, which means I get to decorate it from scratch. But I have been really struggling to do it. So I went to look for some inspiration, and there's one certain word that kept popping up: the boy apartment aesthetic. Now, I don't really understand this aesthetic yet, but it definitely seems really interesting and colorful and bold. So I decided to dig deeper, figure out its origins, talk to someone who understands it better, and figure out how is it changing the way men decorate their space. Right? Okay, when I said dig deep, I ended up reading 200 years of interior design history to explain a TikTok trend. But what I found was rather interesting. You see, from what I understand, the world of design seems to resemble a swinging pendulum, and this pendulum has been swinging a lot faster in the recent decades. To understand it better, let's look at this graph. It represents the design language of each decade for the past 2 centuries. Look how the graph seems to oscillate from maximalism to minimalism on a gradual pace over the decades until we reach the end of the 20th century. The line seems to jump to opposite ends every 10 years.
It's 100% because of the use of internet nowadays. People were getting information from a pigeon, you know?
This is Celan. She's a junior designer based in Toronto, and she'll be our expert for today. Okay, back to the video now.
Our opinions are constantly switching between what other people are saying about stuff or what we ourselves are absorbing. It's going to reflect in what we put out into the world. And so that's why we're having so many of micro trends happening on the internet, which is not a bad thing. Everyone's expressing their opinions, and that's great. But I think it's important that everyone's kind of just take a step back and think about whether you actually really resonate with it yourself, and instead of just like kind of hopping on the trends. But it is forever going back and forth.
Okay, so the internet is behind this sudden change in our graph, but what I still didn't understand was, why did we move from maximalism to minimalism in the first place? I mean, the buildings and interiors built in the 1800s are still considered as such beautiful pieces of art. So, what happened? Well, the answer lies in our graph itself. Here's a different version of it. These bars represent the three major economic depressions of the past couple centuries, and they perfectly align with our minimalist eras. Seems like lack of money pushed us towards simpler designs, but humans are not simple. They were never simple.
Naturally, we as people, we're gonna lean into things that are more standoffish, that are more bold, more ballsy, instead of going into or huddling into the norm. The retro and 80s are a representation of revolution, and so that's kind of what we are going through right now as people too, and it's reflected in the design.
And this brings us back to our boy apartment aesthetic. You see, we live in an era where we are constantly connected to the entire world, yet we humans have never felt lonelier. We are spending more and more time indoors, which means our desire for personal expression has been confined to our homes as well. So decorating your space as a reflection of who you are can create a sense of belonging, a sense of home. But from what I understand, this aesthetic isn't just a reflection of who you are, but rather a reflection of your inner child as well. It could be collecting Legos or Hot Wheels or your favorite movie posters. It could be DIYing your own furniture and painting it bright red. My point is, a kid isn't afraid of being bold and colorful and unapologetic. So are these rooms, a place where not just they would want to live, but their younger self would as well. However, you still need to understand a few design principles before you start decorating, or your place might end up looking like this. Don't worry, I'll make it as simple for you as possible. Or actually, how about I design my own room and take you through the process of it? Okay, this is the room we are working with. The first thing I'm gonna do is add a rug in there. The reason I chose a darker color is because your eyes are naturally drawn towards the brighter parts of the room, and adding a bright rug would mean your eyes would be drawn down towards the floor instead of being up around the room. The second thing I'm gonna do is add a few shelves right next to the window. The reason I chose the metal shelves is because, well, they are cheap, but also it adds a variety of material to your room. The wooden bed frame, the rug for some textiles, and the metal shelves. Now let's add a couple plants in there. A small one, a big one. I won't judge you for buying the artificial ones. These things are really hard to keep alive. I'm gonna add a couple nightstands right next to the bed, and it's time to bring in the lamps now. I won't be using any ceiling lights, and the reason behind it, I'll explain it in a minute. But let's finish decorating the room first. I added some books and changed the curtains to orange. It really matches well with our brown rug and adds a pop of color. Okay, now let's talk about the lamps. This is the room with the big lights on, and this is the room with lamps. Do you see the difference? I have kept the room fairly simple because I strongly believe that your home is supposed to grow over the time with you. You don't just find a home and start living in it. It takes time and love to make a home, well, home. So I want you to treat decorating your space no different than any other art form. You see, art is personal. It is a way of expressing who you are. It is a point of view inside the artist's brain. And so should be your room, a point of view inside your brain.